like to think of ourselves as a nation of sporty types, but the survey suggests well over 1 million New Zealanders don't get any exercise at all.
A new survey of 8,000 New Zealanders shows a quarter who don't exercise lay the blame squarely on a lack of encouragement from others.
You know, I could save up and go to the gym.
No way, you're playing rugby, you'll get hurt.
I'm much more likely to go to the gym if my daughter encourages me to go in the morning, if we make the arrangements the night before. And we all need to think about what we can do for others in that way.
Sport and Recreation New Zealand has revealed why 1.3 million New Zealanders don't get enough exercise. A study looked at the excuses people have for not exercising and found there are 6, apparently.
Exercise, exerting one's body for the sake of health and fitness. We should do more of it, apparently. A study done by SPARC, who are Sports and Recreation, and the Cancer Society went to 8,000 New Zealanders, 8,000 people they polled, and asked them what exercise they did.
Over 1 million Kiwis aren't getting enough physical activity, especially Asians, or so a study says, done by Sport and Recreation New Zealand and the Cancer Society.
30 minutes of moderate intensity physical activity on most days of the week. Talking about sport, we're talking about physical recreation, active play for kids, active transport, so walking and cycling to work, and incidental physical activities.
We are finding Asian New Zealanders to be actually reporting less activity. We did find that Asian New Zealanders were amongst the least active, along with Pacific New Zealanders.
So it's all about finding a balance between work and play. SPARC and the government are putting millions of dollars into raising awareness. So now it's up to us to get the message.
To find out how you can push play, call 0800 ACTIVE.
5 adventurous and slightly nervous Kiwis are leaving today for China, where they plan to be the first to travel the entire length of the Mekong River.
Imagine being given $100,000 to complete the global adventure of a lifetime. Sport and Recreation New Zealand opened the floor to would-be travellers and found many ready to brave the elements.
SPARC had this idea that it was a way to excite kids about exercise and adventure and all that kind of stuff. And that's fantastic because we had this idea that it would be great fun.
I think one of the big things the children will get out of it is that they will see how being active can be fun and how it can carry on through their whole life, not only while they're at school doing PE and sport, but into more adventurous things as it goes on.
If you'd like to follow Jeff and his team, go to www.spark.org.nz and click on the Hillary Expedition link.
On the day that the Olympic Committee announced the swimming teams for Athens, the government sports funding agency has confirmed it has frozen the funding to the sport.
It was a day to celebrate the achievements of New Zealand's best, but behind the scenes the Board of New Zealand Swimming and its CEO Catriona McBean are involved in a bitter battle. SPARC boss Nicholas Hill would not talk about swimming's inner turmoil, but did say that while funding for Athens was guaranteed, funds for the future were frozen.
We haven't agreed funding for this year because we're waiting to see what their strategic plan and their plans are going forward. To date, we haven't received anything that we believe is satisfactory.
SPARC has funded a review of swimming but is still waiting for a plan of action. McBean would not comment today, but SPARC was critical of the Sports Administration.
Well, I think that swimming as a sport in New Zealand offers a lot, and I think that Swimming New Zealand can play more of a leadership role perhaps than they have.
Whatever happened to fair play?
The idea with sport is that there's a competitive element to it, and so it does wind people up. I mean, you go in there to win. You just need to remember that while winning is a great thing, it shouldn't come at all cost.
So do penalties need to be harsher?
There do need to be harsh penalties so that people understand. But when you're dealing with kids, you need to be a bit careful how harsh the penalty is, because you don't want to turn them away from the game forever.
Good evening. Leading 3 Sport tonight, Don Tricker spent this week contacting the 2004 world champion Black Sox, but it wasn't about their future. Instead, Tricker was standing down as coach after leading New Zealand to back-to-back world titles.
After 6 years and 2 World Series wins as Black Sox coach, today Don Tricker announced his retirement.
Enjoying my kids growing up there at a pretty young age, 9, 6 and 4,
and that coupled with what I do here at SPARC, which is a really challenging and exciting role.
At times it can seem the most thankless task in the world. Long hours in the cold and wet, fending off disgruntled parents, and all for the passion of coaching a sport they love. Now the search is on for the Volunteer Coach of the Year, with prize money of $5,000 up for grabs.
Volunteer coaches do a wonderful job in ensuring that the sporting experience is a positive experience, and that keeps kids in sport.
The hunt is on again for the country's best volunteer coach. Mike McHugh from SPARC explains it's for grassroots coaches.
The awards recognise volunteer coaches at the school and club level. This excludes representative level coaches. There are other awards that are provided by sports and other bodies for coaches at those levels.
Very soon SPARC will release a coaching strategy that has been developed to help keep coaches supported and ethically bound. Joining us in the studio is last year's winner of the Volunteer Coach of the Year Awards, Rachel Gibbons. Congratulations on winning that, and thank you for joining us.
Put us in the picture is psychologist Sarah Chadwin, CEO of the Millennium Institute and former top rower Mike Stanley, and in Wellington, Katie Sadlier, past Olympic athlete and bronze medal winner, actually, general manager also of performance at SPARC. Welcome to you all.
Thank you, Ellie. Good morning.
What's the atmosphere like? Can it crush you mentally?
Well, I mean, it's interesting. I mean, working at SPARC and through the Academy, we just finished a Talent ID Task Force report, and we looked at what are the key attributes of successful athletes on an international stage. And it says that at the end of the day, winners have developed really good psychological skills in the main, and they have got strategies in place to support themselves when they're in those kind of pressure situations. You know, for some of the younger athletes that have been plucked out of obscurity and, thrust into centre stage, they don't quite know who to go to. I don't mean to contradict you, but it's interesting. I had a look at the database that we collect. We have a carded system in New Zealand where we card about 800 athletes. All athletes that are part of the Commonwealth, the Olympic team, have been carded. And I did a printout last night, and of the 200 athletes, they'd had access to about 600 psychological services in the last 12 months.
For a really tiny nation, and we do so well to, to have this number of world champions.
We did some research actually exactly a year ago on the nation's view on winning at SPARC. And 73% of New Zealanders believe and expect that we should win on an international stage, and the Olympic rate's up there as one of the most important events.
It ain't no high-tech training facility, but this is what one of our leading Olympic hopes has had to put up with. Her success has seen her